ॐ यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोऽभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विचर्षणं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवम् ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मङ्गलाचरणम्
यो ब्रह्माण्डमिदं करोति सुकरं सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं यस्यानुग्रहमाप्तुमेव सुजना सर्वे यतन्ते सदा भक्तिं यस्य विना कदापि पुरुषो मुक्तिं न वै विन्दते वेदान्ते च यमाहुरेकपरमं देवाय तस्मै नमः.
So last Sunday we are seeing the first chapter. What is the need for a religion? So we saw, though man is one of the animals, how he has got some additional difficulties and mental worries, and how his efforts to earn material wealth, fame, and power, they are not enough to make him happier. And we also saw that how man is inquisitive about some things beyond his five senses. And we also saw what is the necessity of a religion for leading a fruitful life and a happier life. And we also saw whether the religion is capable of giving all these things, and compared to the scientific inventions, how religion is more important to make a man lead a happier life. And now we have to see how Hindu religion makes the Hindus resilient for outside aggressions, because it has gone through many aggressions, but still they have maintained their peace. So today we will see how Hindus have remained resilient through many aggressions. In its long history, Hinduism has been subject to many aggressions, both physical as well as psychological. In the early history till 10th century, Hindu religion faced a formidable psychological attack by Buddhism and Jainism. However, it survived. During the medieval period, that means 10th century onwards. So, before arrival of the British, the Muslim rulers perpetrated physical atrocities against Hindus and persecuted them. They destroyed many Hindu temples and desecrated the holy places. They forcibly converted many Hindus to Islam under physical threat. In course of time, Hindus, though politically outwitted, managed to live comfortably along with the aggressors. So they carried their life. Because what is happiness? Happiness is a state of mind. It is a psychological factor. So this is the definition of happiness. When a satisfied and contented mind feels that the prevailing condition should continue forever, that is happiness. When a satisfied and contented mind feels that the prevailing condition should continue forever, that is happiness. So when you are in pain, you feel that this moment should go away, so that I should get rid of this moment, that is painful moment. But in happiness, you want to continue in that state. Then industrialization, competitive trade and commerce, improved agriculture, etc., and the resultant material affluence are all no doubt desirable. However, one should understand that they are only means to an end, but not an end in themselves. The aim should be to create a happy and harmonious society, and that can be achieved only through a religion. Now we are talking of development, industrialization, competitive trade, and improved agriculture. While doing that, we should see that we should not be that should not be at the cost of our happiness. That competition and other efforts should not take away our happiness. In addition to happiness, you have to do all those things because they are only a means to an end. The purpose is to create a happy society, not only a rich society. So the British, when they came to India, they saw such a happy society here and acknowledged the same. Lord Macaulay, while addressing the British Parliament on 2nd February 1835, is reported to have said, I have travelled across the length and breadth of India, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber, then that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. And therefore, I propose that we replace her old and ancient uh, education system, her culture. For if the Indians think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self esteem, their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation. So, the religion is capable of making a happy and prosperous and progressive society. So, in those days also, the castes were there, different religions were there, but there were no conflicts between them. The castes were not created by Hinduism. Always Hindu religion is charged this that because of Hindu religion there are castes here, but it's not so. The castes were not created by Hinduism, but they grew due to the natural human tendencies. The caste growth is a natural tendency of human beings. Hinduism prescribed only division of the society into four groups because they always point out to the Bhagavad Gita verse, Chaturu Varanam Maya Srishtam, like that. So castes came into existence. No, it's not like that. Hinduism prescribed only division of society into four groups based on their occupation. It was according to the sound economic principle of division of labor. The aim was to encourage the growth of different specific skills and capabilities in order to achieve the maximum progress of the society as a whole. The man who can do labor work, he should be allowed to do the labor work only. And a man who cannot fight, he cannot be sent in the military. So according to capacity, they had divided the society so that the whole society is progressive. The same principle has been adopted and practiced by modern economists right from Adam Smith and others. Why this caste will come? See, birds of the same feather flock together, declares a saying. Based on this tendency, castes originate and grow. One can spot many MPs, member of the parliaments, in parliament who are either the son or daughter or son-in-law or daughter-in-law or grandson or granddaughter of some former MP or minister or a prime minister. The same is true about the judges. A judge's son becomes another judge. Advocates, doctor's son tries to become a doctor only. Cine artists, sportsmen, industrialists, and so on. Industrialists have maternal relations with another industrialist only. So they all form into a small caste or small group. In a way, these are different castes only. They gather together, they dine together, and many have matrimonial relations among them. And one cannot blame them for that. For example, I cannot blame a minister, a judge, or a doctor, or a cine artist for not inviting me for lunch or dinner and for not choosing me as his son in law when I don't deserve it. That is his prerogative and freedom. Of course, in the old caste system, there could be some atrocious behavior on the part of some over enthusiasts. But such cases should be treated as individual cases and dealt with appropriately. They should not be blown out of proportion and painted as caste conflicts. The caste should be seen against this background, and much ado should not be made about castes. So, many attempts have been made in India earlier to obliterate the castes, and they have failed. The attempts have resulted in creating new castes. For example, in Karnataka, the great 12th century saint Basaveshwara collected people from all Hindu castes and tried to form a casteless society, but only succeeded in forming another caste, that is the Lingayat caste. The original caste did not vanish, but a new Lingayat caste came into existence. The same thing happened about Sikhs, and the original castes retained their identity even within these newly formed sects. That is another problem. The Portuguese were the first Europeans to arrive in India at the end of 15th century. When they established their rule in Goa, they converted many local Hindus to Christianity, and therefore there is a large Christian community in Goa. One may wonder that even today, after almost 500 years, the original Hindu castes have retained their identity within this Christian community in Goa. There are Brahmin Christians also, there are backward Christians also, and they don't marry each other. So the formation of castes has nothing to do with religion. In any religion, there are castes. The Chinese traveler Huan Tsang, who visited India in 7th century CE and stayed here for 15 years, he observed that the division of the society in India was based on caste. But he confirms that people live together in harmony. The present day social conflicts, however, based on religion, caste, language, occupation, social status, etc., are creations of politicians. That is their investment. Creating hatred and enmity, that is their investment, on which they earn dividends in the form of votes in the next elections. Castes are there and they are going to remain not because of Hinduism but in spite of it. Caste consciousness, race consciousness, status consciousness are there in all countries. Therefore, Hinduism cannot be and should not be blamed for caste conflicts. It is not the creation of religion. In order to be able to rule over India, the British formulated a strategy to sideline and malign the Hindu religion, to disturb the cultural harmony, and to keep the country boiling with conflicts between castes, religions, and regional groups. They introduced a secular education system, keeping Hinduism and other religions outside the curriculum. The British were possibly aware of what they did in Africa, what they and other Europeans did in America. When the Europeans stormed America, they killed its original inhabitants called Red Indians or American Indians by thousands. Many others died due to diseases brought by the Europeans. They also killed thousands of bisons and bears just for fun. They usurped large stretches of land, and to cultivate them, they brought Africans as slaves and treated them as beasts. The British floated similar stories about India's past and painted Aryans as the invaders coming from the northwest. The Aryans were said to have defeated the local inhabitants and exploited them as Shudras. All this is false. They were blamed to have kept all knowledge with a privileged few and kept the majority of people outside the purview of education. The Aryans and their religion, Hinduism, were blamed for all the social and economic evils like caste, illiteracy, poverty, etc. So recently, the research work done by Deccan College, they have proved that these Aryans and all, they did not come from this northwest and all other things. They were all here only. And this Dravidians and Aryans theory also, it is wrong. They have proved. So thus the British systematically created a sense of despite and hatred towards Hinduism in the minds of the general public. They lured many poor people and gullible to Christianity. They changed even the original name of the country, Hindustan, and established a new name as India. Though Hindus and Muslims of this country fought together with the British for freedom, the British succeeded at the end in creating a discord between the two and in partitioning the country on the religious lines. They created two neighboring countries, India and Pakistan, permanently fighting with each other despite its heavy costs. Thus, they succeeded in keeping the Indian subcontinent boiling forever. The political masters in Pakistan had no difficulty in declaring it as an Islamic country. However, the political masters in India, being educated in the British system, and many of them being educated in the Great Britain itself, carried the mistaken British impression about Indian history and religion. They continued the British legacy of maligning Hinduism. They doubted the Hindu psyche of respecting other religions and living a harmonious life with people of other religions. So the country was declared as a secular country. That was not necessary. Even though Hindus formed 85% of its population, They even avoided the name Hindustan during the last 7 decades under the regime of secular governments. Hindu religion and Hindu sentiments were sidelined. Yet there was enough resilience in Hindu population to lead a happy life under all circumstances. They did not agitate, they did not create violence. Then recently there is a deterioration in happiness level and the causes thereof. Because earlier we saw how India was placed second only to America in that happiness index. But now things have changed. However, in a recent report published by the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network on 20th March 2017, the happiness ranking of India has dropped from 118th position in 2016 to 122nd among the 155 countries in 2017. In 1 year, it has dropped so many points. Strangely enough, all the India's neighbors stand ranked above. See, India's position is 155, China 79, Pakistan 80, Bhutan 97, Nepal 99, Bangladesh 110, Sri Lanka 120. All these are above. The economic prosperity of these countries, except possibly China, may not be far better than that of India. In such research surveys, there is a tendency to relate the happiness level with the economic indices like GDP, per capita income, job opportunities, and so on. Though adequate income is necessary for a contented life, an increase in bank balance may not necessarily make a person happier. On the contrary, it may be at the cost of his happiness. So, this drop in happiness ranking, when the growth of Indian economy is quite promising, needs to be inquired into. In my opinion, this could be an aberration due to frequent elections. In electoral politics, each political party finds out a section of electorate on some basis, like for example, religion or caste. You see all these things now: religion or caste or occupation, economic or educational backwardness, language, and share in river water, migration, and so on. They don't want South Indians to come to Bombay, or people from Bihar and UP, they don't want them in Bombay. Like that, this migration also, they cause concern. Then the leaders of the party highlight how injustice is being done to a community by others and whip up unrest in that community and ask for votes and masquerading as their saviors. The dust of unrest blown up during electioneering remains in the air for some time, causing unhappiness. And by that time, it settles down, another election will come. So, secondly, there is a general deterioration in discipline, moral standards, and law and order. It is pitiable to see students, both boys and girls, gathering in hordes, consuming liquor and drugs, and dancing hideously throughout night. It is more in Punjab now, this drug mania, this one, mania. So in affluent Indian states like Punjab, it is reported to be it is suffering under the sway of drugs and liquor. Even when such undesirable activities are objected to, when the liquor shops on the highways were closed down under a Supreme Court order, some politicians and a section of English media, they raised a big noise about attack on personal freedom, loss in business, loss of government revenue, and so on. So people want unbridled freedom to act as they like, dictated by their animal instincts. As a cumulative effect of all such undesirable activities in the country, there are increasing cases of theft, robbery, cheating, extortion, eve teasing, rape, kidnapping, murder, etc. So there is no wonder if the happiness ranking of such a country slips. I feel that this is a temporary phase and will settle down early. I hold that Indian voters are wise enough to see through the game of politicians and that very soon they will elect and establish a strong dispensation which will enforce political, economic, and moral discipline and make the country safer for the people of all religions. The Hindus are sure to regain their resilience. This temporary drop of happiness level of India does not disprove the hypothesis that religion has the influence on the happiness index of the people. Religion is capable of making people happier and resilient. So, religion is a necessity. Swami Vivekananda once said, religion is the idea which is raising the brute unto man and man unto God. Ignoring some outdated, undesirable practices obtaining in Hinduism, if any, which can be corrected, one should consider the cardinal teachings of Hinduism. Hinduism mainly endeavors to teach the man to lift himself from his basic animal instincts, not to waste his precious human life in running after sensual enjoyments, to develop an integrated personality, and to enjoy a fruitful life while doing his duties, whatever they may be. If people ignore or avoid Hindu teachings due to their ignorance or misconception, they are going to suffer. Hinduism has nothing to lose. Thus, the fact that religious beliefs have considerably contributed to the welfare and happiness of the people is not just a theoretical argument only, but it has been proved empirically along with food to eat, water to drink, and air to breathe. Man needs a faith, a religion, and a spiritual pursuit to live happily in this apparently unpredictable world where many feel that they do not get what they deserve, while some others get what they never deserved. And without a faith, human life turns out to be an unending, futile struggle. So, religion is a necessity. Hinduism is a major religion in the world. That is why an overwhelming majority of people in the world follow one or the other religion. According to a published statistical information, the spread of religion in the world population, it is about 7 billion, that is about 700 crores, is as follows. Christians 33.4%, and Muslims 23%, and Hindus 14%, and Buddhists 7%, and all others are a very small percent, 1 or 2. And non religious, without any religion, there are about 10%. So it shows that out of the world population of about 7 billion, 1 billion are Hindus. And Hinduism is one of the four major religions in the world. Therefore, the major tenets and practices of Hinduism are worth studying. It is third number. First is Christianity, second is Islam, and third is Hinduism. So this finishes chapter 1. Any questions on this? Any doubts? Mr. Vijay?
Yeah,
Mr. Vijay?
no doubt.
No doubt.
Uh, it is just uh, unfortunate that it is in the third place, considering this is
Yes,
the only true secular religion where
correct.
following it is what to say thought to be the path to happiness,
Ah,
which is what every civilization or every empire would want. It is fallen down to number three, and that's a sad thing.
yeah. See, there was a time when this Hinduism was having its influence in Indonesia, Malaysia, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, in all these places. It is all they were overtaken by Islam. Now, Malaysia, Indonesia, they have all become Islamic countries. So, I have written an open letter, I am yet to send it, open letter to Swamiji of Sringeri, Sharda Mutt, and it will be published in paper also. It is about 17 to 18 pages. So there I have shown if you don't do anything now, even the Hinduism will be overtaken by this Islam, and India will be an Islamic country. We have to either run away or convert ourselves to Islam. That will come because it is developing like that.
Yeah, and incidentally, what you mentioned
Uh,
is the doctrine of Islam as well. Is that it is written that you either convert or be captured and pay the tax, the jizya tax, or be killed. There is no third option, and this is from
yes,
right from the creator of that religion.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. That is correct. That is a very aggressive and cruel religion.
yeah,
You don't have any right to live unless you become a Muslim. You have got no right to live. That is
yeah,
the principle. That is the dangerous principle. That's
yeah.
why I have written. Instead of blaming them, you see their strong points, and we have to bring unity and homogeneity in both thought and action. That is what I have written.
Yeah, and in fact, because of some of the YouTubers, the truth about Islam is coming out,
Ah,
which is very bloody, and the what is it? The creator of the religion itself was involved in slavery, what to say, sexual harassments, and what to say, torture and killing of young children. So, with such a those truths were even hidden by what to say some people, which is coming out. So, hopefully, um, in that context, when you read uh, your book, which talks about the what to say the pursuit for happiness in the true sense, uh, for me personally, I have more reverence to uh, Vedavyasa now
yes,
than before because of the love in which he has written these books,
correct.
uh, from the background of what others are trying to propagate.
So that is what I have written. This is our property, which is earned by our forefathers. And
Yes.
once this culture is removed from here, so we lose this property also.
Yeah.
This is a wealth given by our forefathers. So we should retain that one. Okay, shall we go for the next second chapter? Second chapter is Hinduism as the world knows today. because Hinduism is known the world over. So, in what fashion they know? That is the topic here. Hinduism, as the world knows today, the word Hindu is a geographic term like British, French, Afghan, Baluch, etc. The people inhabiting the large peninsula east of the river Sindhu are called as Hindus. This S and H, they are interchangeable in Sindhi and Marwadi, and so your Marwadi shopkeepers here, for Sade Sat, they say Hade Hat, like that. So yes and H, they are interchangeable. Sindhu becomes Hindu. And the peninsula itself is known as Hindustan. Just like Afghanistan, Baluchistan, this is Hindustan. Normally, the geographic name of a place is not used to denote the religion of the people inhabiting that place. So there is no Hindu religion as all, so far as the world is concerned. For example, there is no such religion as the British religion or the French religion. From prehistoric period, the Hindus practiced a religion based on their ancient scriptures known as Vedas. So, etymologically, this religion is known as Vaidika Dharma. That means the religion that came down from Vedas. So, meaning Vedic religion. It is also known as Sanatana Dharma. That means eternal truth. It is a way of life, it is a culture. But somehow the outsiders called this religion practiced by the Hindus as Hindu religion or Hinduism. Those who came from outside, they called this as Hindu religion or Hinduism. In course of time, there developed some perverted and fraudulent practices in the religion, and some people revolted against Hinduism and established their alternative religions. Thus, some Hindus accepted Jainism or Buddhism or Sikhism. However, under the Indian civil laws like the Hindu Marriage Act, the Hindu Succession Act, etc., the definition of Hindus includes Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, and all those who are not Christians, Muslims, Jews, and Parsis. Except these people, Christians, Muslims, Jews, or Parsis, they all others are Hindus only. Whether he is a Sikh, whether he is a Buddha, or whether he is a Jaina, all are Hindus only. Further, as a result of political invasions by foreigners practicing some other religions, some Hindus accepted Islam and some others chose to accept Christianity. And all these are Hindus only in the geographic sense of that word. So the original character of the Vedic religion as the one adhered to by all the inhabitants, that has changed. All Hindus are not observing this Vedic religion. They are you call it Hindu religion. But still the name continues. Yet an overwhelming majority of inhabitants, about 82%, continue to practice their ancient Vedic religion. It often happens in common parlance that a thing is first denoted by a word conveying its character. I will give some examples so that it will be clear. It often happens in common parlance that a thing is first denoted by a word conveying its character. But once the name gets established, it does not change even if that original character changes. For example, in Mumbai, in Fort area, there is a place as busy as the Times Square in New York. It is known as Dhobitala, meaning a washerman tank. Now there is neither any tank nor any washerman seen there. But once upon a time, there was a tank used by professional washermen. So now it is still called as Dhobitala. Similarly, in Pune, there is a regular cement concrete bridge across a river in Pune, which is known as Lakdi Pool, meaning a wooden bridge, because 250 years back it was first constructed using wood. Thus, the linguistics in linguistics, a customarily used word is preferred over an etymologically correct word. So they say, yogat rudhir baliyasi. Whatever is the practice, that is more important. You sometimes they name a village or a place as Shivaji Nagar, but people still call it as some old name, Bamburda, like that they call. So the old habit, it won't go. Even if the bridge is changed, they call it as Lakdi bridge only. So Yogad Rudhir Baliyasi. Therefore, see, a boy is called with some nickname, say Rama or Govinda. Even he becomes a great man and a very respected man, still that name remains within his circle. They will still call him with that name only. So therefore, even though the phrase Vaidika Dharma or Vedic religion is an etymologically correct phrase for the religion followed by a majority of Hindus, I will continue to use the term Hinduism also for the said religion on account of its customary usage. Because everybody calls it as Hinduism, I am also calling it as Hinduism. But it is not etymologically correct name. Etymologically means it should be Sanatana Vaidika Dharma or Sanatana Bhagavata Dharma. But people call Hinduism, so like the Dobitala, so I will also call it as the Dobitala. That's all. The way in which Hinduism is generally understood in the world today is evident from the published writings of many scholars. The following are some or a few extracts from some of the books on the world's religions to show what is being propounded, what is being advocated in the name of Hinduism. So, an American scholar, Dean Halverson, he writes as follows. In his book, he has written, this Dean Halverson is a Christian scholar. He is the editor of the book Illustrated Guide to World Religions. In that he gives his understanding of Hinduism. So, he has written about all religions, world religions. In that against Hinduism, he says, this is what I think is Hinduism. He writes, in Hinduism, for example, the most ultimate reality, Brahman, is described as Nirguna, which means without attributes. Obviously, to say that God is, these are all his remarks, obviously to say that God is without attributes or that we must pass beyond consciousness in order to know God is to make God out to be distant, abstract, unknowable, and inconceivable. Hindus see ultimate reality Brahman as being an impersonal oneness that is beyond all distinction, including personal and moral distinctions. Since Hindus also consider Brahman to be an impersonal force of existence, the universe is seen by most Hindus as being continuous with and extended from the being of Brahman. Most adherents of Hinduism believe that they are in their true selves, Atman, extended from and one with Brahman. Myself and Brahman are one only. So, just as the air inside, and all these examples are given by Shankaracharya, just as the air inside an open jar is identical to the air surrounding that jar, so our essence is identical to the essence of Brahman. This is expressed through the phrase Tat Tvam Asi, that thou art. So, humanity's primary problem, according to Hinduism, is that we are ignorant of our divine nature. We have forgotten that we are extended from Brahman and that we have mistakenly attached ourselves to the desires of our separate selves or egos, and thereby to the consequences of its actions. Because of the ego's attachments to its desires and individualistic existence, we have become subject to the law of karma. The law of karma is the moral equivalent of the natural law of cause and effect. In a sense, it says that we reap what we sow. The effects of our actions, moreover, follow us not only in the present life but from lifetime to lifetime, which is why there is reincarnation. The solution to this problem in Hinduism is to be liberated, moksha, from the wheel of life, death, and rebirth. Such liberation is attained through realizing that the concept of the individual self is an illusion and that only the undifferentiated oneness of Brahman is real. With such a realization in mind, one must strive to detach oneself from the desires of the ego and thereby attain enlightenment. Hinduism offers at least three paths by which to attain enlightenment. They include Karma Marga, the way of action and ritual, Jnana Marga, the way of knowledge and meditation, and Bhakti Marga, the way of devotion. By way of contrast, the direction of the Hindu way to enlightenment is from humanity to God, and it is based on one's own effort. The direction of biblical way, that is what is told in Bible, way of salvation, on the other hand, is from God to humanity. In that it is based on God's grace. It is the same thing in us also. But he is only quoting what Advaita says. So the direction of biblical way of salvation, on the other hand, is from God to humanity. In that it is based on God's grace and it is a gift to be received through faith. Also, according to the Upanishads, the goal of enlightenment is for the individual self to lose its separate identity in the universal self. The end result of biblical salvation, on the other hand, is to have an everlasting relationship with God. And eternal life means to be in relational communion with a personal God, not in an undifferentiated union with an impersonal oneness. Probably the most common Hindu objection to Christianity is the belief that there are many gods, that there are many ways to God. Each person can choose the way best suited for him or her. The Hindu sees ultimate reality, Brahman, as being an undifferentiated oneness. If that view of God is accurate, then it would indeed be true that there are many ways to God, because God would be the underlying force within each person. Such an idea was reflected in Hinduism today when it printed a chart of the major world religions entitled Truth is One, Paths Are Many. So, this confusion of Advaita as Hinduism is given by our great Swami Vivekananda in 1893. And then he regretted himself that this is not true. So we will come to that one. Then the next, another two persons are there. One Mr. Uh, Ranchor Prime. He's a British scholar. He has given his views. And then next one is most importantly Houston Smith. So these two we'll see next Sunday. Huh? Otherwise it will be boring. Because all this they have given the Advaita system only. And whatever he says in Christianity and all, the same thing is there in Hinduism. Any questions? In this chapter, we see what others think of Hinduism, and then we will see what exactly it is.